Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's show. This is David Markwell. You are watching Global Impact on TCNTV.com. Welcome to the show. We are really glad to be here today, and we trust God that you will have a great time with us tonight. A lot is happening, so much is happening everywhere at the same time, and we just trust God that He will help us to navigate this day and find our foot where we truly belong. So I'll be right back after this break, and we will take off with the show. Thank you. Welcome to the show. Thank you so very much. I'm sure that if you are well aware, you know what's happening right now in the East, in Eastern Europe, the war between Russia and Georgia. It's no joke. And here is this video from the anti-war protest in Russia this morning. Right, so that was this morning, people protesting against the war. It's also unfortunate that the war had to break out. But all parties involved are to blame, especially Russia and the West. But that's not what we are doing this evening. We really won't feel so sad and pray and encourage our brothers and sisters in Ukraine. Ukraine is a strong Christian nation, and lots of Christians out there, people who believe in God, people who are serving God, and people who just want to be themselves. Ukrainians are just beautiful people, you know. They are really very beautiful people, and they are just messed up in the politics that's going on. Ukraine is more or less a proxy place war, rather. In the sense that Russia is trying to fight the expansion of Europe and NATO, but they don't want to take NATO and Europe and NATO and Europe head on. So Ukraine is the front line, the perfect excuse for a war. So we really feel sad for the people of Ukraine, and we pray for them that God will have mercy. God will spare the women, the children, the innocent men, and people who just want to live their lives in peace and happiness. A nation that is at peace with itself. Unfortunately, this war has come upon them. I said unfortunately because there were a lot that could have been done to stop this war. Personally, my own personal view is that if President Trump was in power, we would never have this war. And again, and my excuse or my explanation to this is that there is something about the Trump administration and system of leadership that made bitter enemies of Israel to seek peace with Israel. It is shocking that today all the Jewish holidays are celebrated in UAE, United Arab Emirates, and in Bahrain, and in Kuwait, and in Sudan, and in Morocco. Now, these are countries that were sworn enemies of Israel, who had sworn to commit their resources and their wealth to the destruction of the state of Israel. But there is something about Trump that convinced them that, hey, there is a better way, better than violence. And the people embraced it. And they embraced it, and they made peace. Recently, they began to teach the history of the Holocaust and the history of the Jews in all Moroccan schools. That's what we read. That's outstanding. Morocco is a kingdom that is ruled by the direct descendant of Muhammad. You can understand that. You can see why Islam is at the heart of everything in Morocco. However, Morocco is a pragmatic nation, and they don't see any reason why they should be fighting the Jews. They believe that they should have peace with the Jews, and it's incredible. And so that thing that made, that gave Trump the ability to win the hearts and minds in Arab countries that were bitter enemies of Israel, that very thing would have kept Russia away from going to war with Ukraine. Again, look at how Trump negotiated the peace between Serbia and Kosovo. I mean, these were sworn enemies that you would think that in the next 100 years, they will never be friends, never relate together, never share anything in common. But within just 3 years or even 2 years, President Trump was able to negotiate a peace accord, so much that these countries are no longer enemies to each other. That is incredible. And so we believe that if he was in power, we would not be having the war that we are having today. Unfortunately, the war is happening, and the war is big. Some people may think that it is just, a few missiles launched. It is war. It's full-scale war, and it has the tendency of pulling the whole of Europe into it, and even the United States, in fact, which means that it will become a world war. Not only that, it has the tendency to energize China, so that China will also launch an attack in order to take over Taiwan, which has been their greatest dream. Really not the dream of the Chinese, but the dream of the Chinese Communist Party. And it's something they are willing to give everything for. And so this war, actually, they must be closely watching and see how it goes, because it will give them an incentive, and also it will give them idea about how they can go about their war, which they think is imminent. Then apart from that, Iran has great ambitions. They have ambitions to conquer Iraq, to conquer Israel, to conquer Saudi Arabia, to conquer Kuwait, and lots of countries in the Middle East. So they are also closely watching this and seeing how they can extend their reach, how they can fight and conquer, So you see, this war between Russia and Kuwait is really a powerful war. And the United States is not at a time when they are not at their best in any way. They are not near their best. Why? Because they have focused on work politics. They have been worrying about gender transitions, gender equity, and all the work, racism, and equity, and diversity, which have nothing to do with preparedness for war. It has nothing. It has no place in preparing for war. In fact, carrying this to the military and to the Department of Defense and even to the federal government level is a waste of time. It's foolishness, actually. It is, But that's where the United States find themselves in right now. And God forbid that this war, gets to America. It will really be a bloody war. It will be a very bad war with bad casualties, because the army, the United States military are not at their best as just about 2 years ago. Just about 2 years ago. So our prayer again is for the Ukrainians. We keep praying and we trust God to protect them. It is so unfortunate that the people who are making those decisions are nowhere near where the bullets are flying. They are nowhere where the bombs are dropping. That's truly always unfortunate, and that is why we need to pray for them, and we need to lift them up and trust God that God will intervene, and God will bring peace, and God will protect his people, protect the innocent, protect the sick, protect the elderly, protect women and children, pregnant women, oh my God, and the disabled, all kinds of people whose lives are in danger. And then there will be the scarcity and famine, lack of food and water and social amenities, medicine and that. All these things, unfortunately, are the consequences of war. And our dear prayer is with the people of Ukraine, that God will be their light and salvation, that God will shield them, God will protect them, God will deliver them from the hands of the wicked. I will be right back after this break.
Hello, everyone. This is Global Impact with David Makwel, your host. Isaiah chapter 2, verses 1 to 5 says that a time is coming when the church will rise in authority and influence and dominate the earth. And many nations will come and say, "Teach us the ways of the Lord." Global Impact is a show that inspires you as a Christian to rise up through the values of the kingdom of God and shine as light wherever you may be. We believe that missions is no longer limited to some isolated, unreached community in some dark continent. The church should reach out to all aspects of life, including politics, business, science and research, the media and diplomacy, and every aspect of human life. Join us on Global Impact, Monday through Friday. Global Impact is broadcast on TECNTV.com. Join us.
Hi, I'm Pastor Greg, host of the Chosen Generation radio show, heard on the Truth Broadcasting Network and seen on TECNTV.com Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to noon Eastern, where I discuss today's most important issues through a biblical constitutional lens. TECNTV.com appreciates our partnership with NTD, and we'd love for you to give our great programming a view. That's TECNTV.com, Chosen Generation Radio with Pastor Greg. God bless you, and God bless America.
Hey, so welcome back to the show tonight. David Makwel is my name. I'm the host of Global Impact on TECNTV.com. Thank you so very much for tuning in. We have been looking at a very, very, very important subject, which is focusing on Africa, the governments and jobs. And if you live in Africa, and mostly if you live in third world countries, you find out that there is a lot of calls all the time for the government to create jobs. The government is not creating jobs. The government, and it is really different from when you hear in the West when they talk about the government is good, creating jobs, or jobs are being created under this government. They are two different things. In most developed countries, jobs are created by the private sector, by people's effort, by people's hard work, by people pursuing their dreams and growing their aspirations and ambitions and taking risks. And that's how jobs come about. But in third world countries, when they talk about government creating jobs, they mean that government should employ people, And so, for example, Ghana, that's 25 million people, they wouldn't mind that 10 million are employed by the government. Now, how is government ever going to be able to fund that kind of employment? The same thing also countries like Egypt or Kenya, with their high population, wouldn't mind that the government employs half of the population. Now, first of all, wait a minute. How big, what does the government actually really do that they will have to employ such a large number of people? Because of these high demands, and because the government also always want to, because the government also wants to get the favor of the people, so they create jobs. Most of the jobs created by the government is to favor people. and to also win favor with the people, so that when election comes, people will vote for them and say, oh, this government has created jobs. They have employed so many people, so many people. Nobody questions whether the work they are being employed to do is actually contributing to national development. Nobody worries if the job they are being given, if they are qualified for the job. Nobody worries if these people employed by the government are actually really needed. So you go to government offices in many places in Africa, and you find, I've seen that in Abuja, I've seen that in Accra, and I've seen it in Cote d'Ivoire too, where you have people who are employed and all their work is to carry a folder from one office to the other, then carry another folder from one office to another. And now that looks like a great job. The man is paid, of course he's working. But isn't there a better way to do that? What do we have networking for? And there should be a database where every officer who wants to access a particular document can, right from the computer, access the document. And 1 million people can access the same document at the same place. It doesn't matter. At the same time, it doesn't matter. And so that work is the person is working actually, but it's a dispensable work. It's a work that someone can do it, or machines can do it. I was going around in Abidjan the other day, and I saw this nice machine that cleans the streets. He has brushes, carries a brush that rotates, and by doing that, he cleans the sides of the streets. Totally cleans out all the dirt, and it's really beautiful, and I love it. However, you also, all through the city, find many women, mostly I see them in women who are probably semi or totally illiterate. I see them walking around with brooms, sweeping with uniforms, sweeping all the streets, all day they are sweeping the streets. And as they sweep the streets today, tomorrow the streets are dumb with rubbish and garbage again. So every day they have something to do. Are they working? Yes, they are working. But is their work necessary? Well, first of all, let's see. If we develop create awareness and develop better habit of disposing our waste instead of littering our streets, we will not need those jobs. These women can go ahead and do something even better, something that can contribute to society better, something that can contribute to their families and to their dreams and ambitions. Now, so that's a dispensable job. That's something that can be done away with. We don't necessarily need that job. But the government creates this kind of jobs that are not essential. They are basically bonus jobs. Jobs to please a particular voting block. Oh, you guys voted for us. We're going to create a job for you. We're going to employ 1,000 of you. You'll be sweeping the streets, and the people are, oh, they'll sing the praise of the government. This government gave me a job. This government has employed me. Now that sounds really like good, and the government is going to triple their the figures. They employ 1,000 people. They say we have employed 10,000 people. 10,000. We provided 10,000 jobs. So now somebody's question is it the government's role to create jobs? Absolutely not, because in the truth of it, government does not have money. But it's because excessively they rob people, they take our national treasures. So they have a lot more to lavish on their pet projects and to please their voting bloc and their tribes. Now, so that will not go well for the economy. That will not bring great blessing on a nation. The government is not the right person to create jobs. The role of the government is to protect commerce and trade and business. And the role of the government is to create robust rules that protect every activity, every legal activity, and to ensure that people have the rights and access to all the resources that they need in order to explore their dreams, achieve their dreams, which in turn becomes the promotion of the country, of the nation. So, really, we have a lot there to really think about and to change. And yesterday we looked at an article of a Reverend Father in Zambia who was complaining about what politicians do. Every year, every election season, when they know election is coming, the politicians come around and promise heaven and earth. Among all that they promise, among one of the greatest things among all that they promise is jobs. You're going to employ all your kids, employ your children. And you go to many countries and you see the statistics in Africa, the statistics of graduates from universities and colleges is outstanding. I mean, it's astounding. There are many graduates, and from many countries. In Nigeria alone, for example, they graduate tens of millions every academic year because 30% of Nigerian population are at school, under the age of school children. You can imagine 30% of 200 million people. That's over 60 million people. So, of the 60 million people, the government produces at least, not less than 5 million graduates. That's 5 million, 10 million graduates every year. And all these 10 million people graduating from colleges and coming back after their national service, they're expecting to get a job. They're expecting to get a job. And many of them are expecting that the government will create jobs. But the government doesn't have money of its own. If the government ever creates a job, it's because they took money from somewhere, from someone, forcefully mostly. And then apart from that, the fact that the government does not create jobs, the government itself does not create jobs, you know. The fact that the government does not have money, okay, they don't have money to create jobs. What happened? They begin to get to tax people more and more. So taxation keeps going high. They have to tax people, get money so that they can employ people. In Africa, precisely, the state of which most countries in Africa run is socialist. Even though they don't hold to the full-blown socialism, but the system of living is socialist, you know, with a lot of socialists, with a lot of support from the government, a lot of bribery from the government giving to people, sharing a lot of freebies, you know, giving people a lot of things for free. There's nothing that attracts the heart of a person like when you give him something that is valuable and you give it to him free. He'll be very grateful. He will not be able to tell you in the next election, no, I don't believe in your principle. I don't think you're right. He will not be able to say. And when he cannot say, there you have it, folks. Corruption has entered, and then it's impossible for a country, you know, to rise through this situation. So, it is really important for us to look at that and to understand that. The government is the big waste. And we will look at that shortly after the break. I'll be right back.
What happened to the church, to the living, powerful, transformative, nation-shaking Christianity?
What they're trying to do is completely demolish Western civilization and then to rebuild it in a just society.
How do you break down American Christianity?
I think the problem today in our culture is many of our words have been co-opted and stolen and dumbed down and reversed.
Social justice is sold as something that it isn't. Critical race theory is sold as something that it isn't.
Whiteness has caused blindness of heart. Whiteness has caused blindness of heart.
When you preach victimization, it always leads to vengeance and vice. Us against them, me against you, I want my pound of flesh.
American churches today are where the universities were 10 years ago. Pretty heavily Marxist. They're not quite there yet, but they're well on the way. Many of the seminaries and Bible colleges are definitely already